Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Film. Today, we've got the characters for the new raid. The list has been released by Capital Games. For some of us, this is really good news because it means that the raid is probably right on the horizon. For other players, probably not so much because they're not quite prepared for this new raid. We're going to go ahead, guys. We're going to dive into what the characters are, which ones I'd be focusing on, whether this is good or bad for the player base comparative to what the speeder bike raid was, kind of comparing between the crate raid and this one, and maybe getting into a little bit of speculation, but not too much, because while they gave us a lot of raid information, I just want to focus on the characters. I know this has been top of everybody's priority list. So, let's please thank our channel members for their continued support. Again, if you're ever interested, that link is in the description, along with a link to the Discord server. Thank you guys for putting your faith in me, continuing supporting me, whether I'm putting content out or having to deal with the craziness that is our audit going on right now. Thank you guys again. Really appreciate it. So let's talk about these characters, kind of which ones I'm really excited about, which ones we're kind of surprised on. So yeah, let's get in here, guys. Alright, so it's kind of crazy because I feel like this raid has been one of the most speculated, like that we've really been speculating a lot because now we kind of know the pattern. So we're going to go over here. We've got the, forums up. We're going to move my fat face over to the other side here. We're going to move it over here. Alright, so they talk about, there's a lot of Naboo raid information. Again, we're not going to get into all the crazy amount of stuff. We're just going to talk primarily about the characters. So the first couple things I want to cover here are the hero characters, right? These are your bonuses. So they're going to get 25% max protection, offense, and mastery. Whenever they inflict a debuff, recover 10% health and protection, gain 10% defense and offense, stacking for 1 turn. So these are going to be obviously the best characters. Jar Jar, Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, and the Stap. I can't say that I think this is great for the player base. It's not awful because Darth Maul's a very accessible character, but Jar Jar, completely inaccessible if you don't get Gungans. And then the Stap, Master Qui-Gon, and Padawan Obi-Wan, they're all marquee units that have been released relatively soon. So I definitely think that the overarching theme so far with these hero units is you've got to have the brand new stuff. I think they're looking at this raid and saying, hey, we need you to have the new things in order to perform well, right? These hero guys, like, they're going to be the most important characters in the raid. These are going to be the most important characters in the raid. I do apologize for whatever horrible transition there was. My wife opened up the door and started talking. Ugh, can't make this up, man. All right, so like I said, these are the most important characters in the raid. I think Darth Maul being here is great, but it's a mixed bag. Like, it's a very... And the other thing I want to say about this, too, is they said, oh, Jar Jar is going to be the premier character. Jar Jar is going to be the premier character. But I'm looking at Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan, and I'm really sitting here thinking that Queen Amidala is going to be the best, like, that she's going to have 2 hero units. So the ability to score well with a character like Queen Amidala, I personally think will be, like, the ticket that if you're not going to want the Omicron for the Gungan team, I think Queen Amidala will probably score better than the Gungans because she's going to have 2 of these hero units in her squad. So definitely something to think about. And then Stap and Darth Maul, I mean, hey, we'll be kind of curious to see where we're using them. They talk about all the character faction bonuses. I don't want to go too much into this stuff because, again, like there's a lot of things to cover here. We'll talk about that. I just want to mention this one. Darth Sidious leader ability is set to active at max rank and applies to separatist allies as well if he is not in the leader slot. So just let that sink in that Darth Sidious is also going to be, one, extremely important because you can stick him inside of a team with separatists and it's going to apply to them even if he's not in the leader slot, which is awesome. So you're going to be able to get multiple leads out of that. So just something to kind of put in the back of your head there. All right, so here's the allowed characters. So obviously the 5 hero units. Then you've got your Gungans here, Queen Amidala. The first shocker for me was R2-D2. So R2-D2 is a raid character that's going from, hey, you were, required in the speeder bike raid, and now you're required for this, one of the possible characters for the Naboo raid. So R2-D2 kind of crossing over there. I don't hate it. We've also got Mace Windu, Jedi Consular, and Jedi Knight Guardian. Consular and Guardian being, it made me laugh. Now, who knows? Maybe they could be broken, but it just makes you, like, crack up. Like, this is just, I mean, what the heck are we doing here? What are we doing here? Then we've got Keller and Beck, Eth Koth, and Grandmaster Yoda. So Keller and Beck, I absolutely called it, right? I knew that would, I thought that'd be a good shout. Eth Koth, I mean, what the heck? And then Grandmaster Yoda, that's not bad, right? And so far, what we've kind of seen now with these first couple, you've got some Jedi Master Kenobi requirements in Grandmaster Yoda, Mace Windu, R2D2 a requirement for JML and Leia. You've got the Gungans and Queen Amidala, Keller and Beck. Like, we've got a couple of different things that are characters from a lot of different farms. So it feels like they're, spreading the love a little bit. Because Keller and Beck comes from Bo-Katan Mandalore, right? Like, they're spreading it out a little bit. All right, then we've got Plo Koon, Kaidi Mundi, Ayla Secura, and Shaak Ti. So some more Jedi Master Kenobi characters. A lot of Jedi Master Kenobi characters here between, Ayla Secura, Shaak Ti now as well. And then Kaidi Mundi, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? I feel like everybody knew that'd be happening. And then Plo Koon getting a shout, it's not bad, right? I think somebody like Plo Koon is a character who I'd love to have at Relics. And now I kind of have that excuse because we're going to need him for the raid. So, that's a nice one there. As we keep going down the list, we've got Luminara, Kit Fisto, and Qui-Gon Jinn kind of rounding out that Galactic Republic Jedi. Again, another character from Jedi Master Kenobi, and then Luminara and Kit Fisto. So, a lot of Galactic Republic Jedi. A lot. And I think the one part of my mind that's sticking out here is how we use Kaidi Mundi, how we use Keller and Beck, and the different leads we need for these Galactic Republic Jedi is going to be extremely important in order for us to score really well in the raid. So I am very curious to see how that pans out. Then, in terms of our Separatist units here, we've got the B1 Battle Droid, Nuke Gunray, the B2, Droideka, Magna Guard, and Darth Sidious. So, man, they were very thematic, right? I mean, Keller and Beck kind of the one who doesn't fit in this equation, right? Keller and Beck kind of that one who, all right, but fine. And we come down here and we're sticking with it, and then we get the B2 and Magna Guard, and you're like, is that really? So Grievous and Trench kind of getting axed, Count Dooku getting axed. That one hurts, right? Those hurt, and I think when I look at this, it kind of makes sense. They're required for things, or Trench just, them taking a dump on him and me. I'm absolutely in shambles over that. But there's the character list. The other thing I want to just show is that their submitted attempts is 5. So to me, that goes back to what the Crate Dragon raid was, where it's 5 teams, right? Where you're going to be using 5 teams of 5, rather than what the Speeder Bike raid was, where it was 8 teams of 3. I could not imagine them going into like a 3v3 a 3 character thing here. I think they're going to go back to, teams of 5, which then starts to really make the, you think about trying to get 5 attempts out of this. Like, I've got a lot of work ahead of me then once we start really working on some stuff here. I've got a lot of work to do in order to get ready for this raid. So, character list is out here. 5 attempts gives you context as to the number of characters you're going to be needing in order to score well. The other thing that is very new, so they talk about this score multiplier, but they've not yet, I don't know if they've actually said, hey, here's the potential score for each of the different phases. So I don't know that information's out there. And the reason I want to make that known is because when you look here at the score multipliers, you're going up, a half of it to go to Relic 1. Then, you get a boost of, times 2 to 3 at Relic 3. 3, going up another multiplier from 3 to 5. And then going from 5 to 7 goes from times 4 to times 6. So there's a big jump from Relic 5 to Relic 7 for this raid. And then an even bigger jump going to Relic 8, where you're going to a times 9 multiplier. But we're not done. They added in a level 7 with a Relic 9 requirement with a 12 times score. That is crazy to think about that, right? That they're adding that much. So I think they did say down here, is new with this raid, with the increase in level, the max reward crate will also increase. So they've not only added this Relic 9 requirement, but it seems like what they're doing as well is changing how much you need to actually hit the max crate. What I'm not sure on is they just mentioned the max crate, so I don't know if the rest of the crates will also increase, but the max crate is definitely increases as well. Now, with this increase, again, I'm curious if they're talking about the score or the rewards inside of it, or both, right? We don't know. It's a poorly worded sentence, but I can tell you this, that on paper, this raid looks to be significantly harder for the player base than what the speeder bike raid was. Simply because, at least the way I'm looking at it, the score multipliers going in the way they are just seems, I don't know, it seems different. But the other side of this is that you're not getting a lot out of your relics until you're getting to relic 7 and up. So we very kind of interested to see how that pans out in terms of scoring in the raid and what you can do. Now, I want to pop over to the game while we're here. So we're going to move over to the game, and we're going to move my webcam. Let's move the fat face over here. All right. So, what I want to show real quick is kind of the squads I was thinking up. So, if you're a fan of The Office, Stanley, obviously. If you know that reference, go ahead and comment that. It's so messed up. So obviously this team. Then this Galactic Republic team with Queen Amidala. So this is where I'm going to use R2-D2. I feel like this is where R2 makes the most sense. And that's because with these other things, you're going to want to use Galactic Republic Jedi. And so somebody like Kaidi Mundi, right, flat out says like, hey, you need to be Galactic Republic Jedi. So you can't use R2-D2 there, right? And then even someone like Keller and Beck, again, it's all Galactic Republic Jedi related, all Jedi, if all allies are Galactic Republic Jedi. So he very much wants Galactic Republic Jedi. So that means R2 kind of can't fit into that team either. So that's why I'm thinking he goes up here with them. And then the 5th slot here can kind of be whoever you want it to be. You could put Luminara, Ayla, whoever you think fits in there. I'm kind of looking at it and thinking I may throw Shock T up here simply because my Mace Windu is not quite as high a relics, and I'm planning on taking these two to relic 7. So if I can get a full relic 7 team up here and then come down and maybe get a relic 5 Galactic Republic Jedi team, then I'll be in decent shape, because I am going to have to do a lot of relics here coming up very, very shortly. But there's another potential team that I'm looking at using. Then this is where we're starting to stretch, because we don't quite know how to break up our separatists, but I feel like you're going to want something along these lines with Nute Gunray. And then I'm kind of looking down here and just thinking I'm going to throw an Underman squad. That I'm not going to want to do anything crazy of throwing extra characters in here if I can still score well with Darth Maul, Sidious, and throw like Magna Guard in here just to get some use out of him. So I'm very curious to see the breakout of how all of these squads kind of fit together. I'm thinking that I'm going to go for a bunch of Relic 5 teams and then start upping them, because my guild wants to hit this raid really hard. So we're going to have to kind of see also the way the scoring works, that maybe, is it worth taking a team to Relic 5, or do you keep them at Relic 3 and get somebody to Relic 8? How can you improve your score the most? There'll be a lot of analysis to do here in the coming weeks to try and figure out the best way forward. But I am excited for, obviously it's a new content, it's a new challenge, we love that. I definitely think this particular raid is a lot less player friendly. When you look at the required characters and what we think the A tier teams will be, it's a lot more challenging. Especially because the current speeder bike raid, the one thing here that's been really, really nice for a lot of guilds is that when you go in, you think, like, for me to go score what I score, right? If I'm going to go, like, I'll start off at, the max level at Relic 8 here. So I'm going in, and I do a Leia Organa solo. Then I use Piet and Han solo as a 2-man. So there, I've gotten 2 teams out of 3 characters. So now I've used half the amount of characters that's actually, hey, you could use 3 in a team. I've only used 3 so far. And then you go down to, like, the Relic 7 level, and yet again, I'm going to use, like, these 2 to score. I'm going to use these 2 to score. Like, you're using these undermanned teams a lot in this speeder bike raid, and I don't know if that's going to be as common in this new Naboo raid. And you look at the characters that are involved in this raid, and you kind of compare them side by side, and it's very much so, I think, much less free-to-play friendly. Just in my personal opinion, the new characters are a little bit more obscure. There's a lot more newer ones, and not just like, oh, Leia and Drogon and Captain Rex and Scout Trooper new, but like you've got, the Gungans, Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan, Staff, like there's a lot of stuff that's all kind of thrown at you that's brand new, much newer than what a lot of these guys were to this raid. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with this? Are you excited? Are you kind of nervous? Again, we don't have an official launch date yet, but you can assume that it's around the corner. That's going to be the safest bet, is that this thing is coming soon because they've given us the characters. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.